appraised of what's
Oh
going
yeah.
on in the world. And when you're at work, you should be on social media at least 20 to 30 minutes per
Mm.
hour while you're
Or
at work. And that
that's
goes
how
for
you
all
get
Americans.
things done.
That's how you gather the proper amount of information to get things done. You are correct. And we are live. This is the Black Powder Podcast. I want to thank you all for listening, watching, wherever you're doing. This is the only real libertarian podcast. And with that being said, I am your host tonight, joined by my other host, Eric Parker. I'm Marcus Matthews, the only real libertarian. Eric Parker, the bold liberty libertarian, which is not the same as the only libertarian. I want to emphasize that, Eric. You're not the same as me.
I know. I'm different. I'm
Yeah,
bigger. I'm better. I'm more bold because I don't think. I mean, Boulder is a location. It's not a word. It might be a word. I don't know. Is
yeah,
Boulder a word? You guys let me know in the
yeah,
comments if Boulder is a word. But
yeah.
bigger, better, more bolder, more
I,
bold.
I doubt all of that. We are we want to apologize to everybody. We kind of fell off a tad bit tonight because we weren't ready
We
with
go
a lot
live
of
tonight.
stuff. Yeah, with a lot of
So
stuff.
literally, guys, and it's no. All right, it might be a secret up until now, but I'll spill the beans. I had a friend come in from town. They're in Charlotte for work. We met up in Salisbury. It's like halfway between, or a little closer to Charlotte. But either way, like we had a good dinner. Me and my wife met up with her. We had a good dinner, and I totally forgot we were having a podcast tonight. And all I was thinking is, man, I really don't want to go to work tomorrow. So I got to work these next 3 days. I've been off 4. I've been kind of like vacation mode for 4 days, even though we haven't done anything fun. We've just been around the house waiting for my wife to have a baby. We went to our 39-week appointment today. So any minute now, we
So
could go
you
into
fed your
labor.
wife
And
seafood tonight with your
yeah,
child in
went.
utero?
Oh yeah. So it was all cooked. It was all no raw seafood. Seafood's actually good for a baby as long as you don't have any allergies. There's oysters and clams both steamed, and crab legs steamed and shrimp boiled. So it was delicious dinner. Yeah.
There's
So.
pineapple shrimp, orange shrimp. At any rate, I want to take this time to congratulate Eric on the soon-to-be birth of his beautiful, healthy little daughter. I think we all agreed on the name Marcus Etta. Didn't you say that?
Marcusetta.
Yeah,
Marquisha.
Marquisha. That's fine too. Long as it's something along the lines of your grand mentor and best friend here in the great state of California, the fourth largest economy in the entire
All right.
world.
I'm glad we got that out of the way. Now we can move on.
That's number one. We have to do it at least 4 times. Eric's coming to you from the great state of North Carolina, and North Carolina is a beautiful place to be. I just want to take time to shout out North Carolina, but I wanted to get into there's been a lot of celebrity deaths this week, which is crazy. Chuck Mangione passed away today. Hulk Hogan passed away today. Ozzy yesterday. Malcolm Jamal Warner the day before. And I just want to take a time to, check up on your friends, your family, the ones you get along with, because I'd be sounding like a hypocrite for me. But, it's crazy times we're living in, and, it's strange, because I grew up watching Hulk Hogan. I kind of lost my admiration from him about 10 years ago, which is kind of ironic because that infamous tape where he was talking about his daughter with black dudes, that was 10 years ago today. And I thought that was super weird, that coincidence.
I don't know that tape, so I have to go look it up. But
Yeah, it's
I,
funny.
I liked him until he was, and honestly, I didn't really care. I get it. He was probably paid to do it, but ripping his shirt off at a MAGA rally. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But
yeah.
other than that, I think Hulk Hogan, like every one of us, at least young men, I don't know about young women, that were watching WWE, WF, WCW. You know what I mean? Like I remember, and he wasn't the best, wasn't the favorite, but definitely one of the most interesting, the New World Order Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Like that was
Oh, yeah.
epic, right?
Well, you missed the golden era of the WWF.
I think the golden era was, it was before my time live, but that was back in the day where you could pick up a VHS WrestleMania or tapes at the video store. You could watch the reruns. That's how you would get them if you didn't like, I guess, pay-per-view, but old one.
Yeah,
Of
it was pay-per-view back then.
Dude, isn't that crazy thing about how times change? Like right now, it's basically on Netflix. You can almost pay $15 a month, and you can watch all the streaming, all the streamed fights live on some streaming platform. It's wild. But I will say this about Hulk Hogan: a lot of people, and I don't want to, without Pastor Tubb here, don't want to get too religious without him. But he is like a born again Christian, and a lot of his the last things he was doing on podcast stuff was just talking about God. I think that's pretty powerful. And I don't know his health, like what he died from. I just saw that he passed away. I didn't look too much into it. That was it.
Well, they found him cardiac arrest, I think.
Yeah. But dude lived a hard life. He got body slammed for 30 years. You know what I mean? That's got to be tough on your body. So.
And the steroids. So, it's wild. And, condolences to all the families of all the famous people and the non-famous people that passed away. One day everybody's time's going to come. So even with that being said, there were still some decently amusing memes that have already come out.
Yeah.
And, that's where I wonder where our society has gone, where within hours.
Because I think Hulk Hogan would be laughing about the West Coast Choppers guy being used and like rest in peace Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he'd think it's funny. And you know what I mean? Like I'm hoping somebody, I don't know, I won't be that famous, but like, put me up with a picture of Jude Law or somebody and be like, rest in peace, Eric Parker. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think of the most handsome black man I could think of to parody me.
Denzel?
No, because I'm better looking.
You're going. I don't know.
I mean, because I don't really think there's somebody as handsome as I am that could actually.
There's a lot I can think of. Idris Elba, come on, but he's British, so that doesn't count.
He's darker
than he's British.
Yeah.
Look, you're setting all these Ice Cube. You kind of got an Ice Cube vibe. I think of you as a California guy, but Ice Cube, you know what I mean?
There's some people that don't like me that have called me Timu Ice Cube, and I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm more. No, I'm not done. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
LL Cool J, y'all don't look alike. Has LL Cool J ever had facial hair? Does he have facial hair right now?
No.
I want to see LL Cool J with a beard.
I got Chris Dorner too.
Off the top of my head, I have no idea who that is. Earlier, you mentioned the Fugle player, and I was like, who? I had to Google him. Chuck Mangione.
Yeah.
Like, who's that?
You don't know who Chris Dorner is? He was that he was a LAPD that didn't pass probation. Then
he's like the Timu LL Cool J.
Yeah, he is. Much chunkier. I had some cop friends texting me and calling me and said stay in the house.
They're looking for Chris Dorner.
When they were, dude, it was knucking futz out here during that time. I actually
R.I.P. Chris Dorner.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way he died was pretty horrible. I think he may have shot himself before because they threw in hot tear gas into this cabin he was holed up in, and they knew what it was going to do because he had already lost 2 cops and had wounded a few more.
Was Chris Dorner like the Black Ruby Ridge situation? Basically, that's the way it kind of. It's not. He was a little bit more guilty. You know what I mean?
Well, he went off the deep end because he killed the daughter of the deputy chief.
How did it start? That whole situation. How did that start? Do you remember?
Basically, he was in the Navy. I believe he was an officer in the Navy, And then he went into the LAPD, and while on probation, he saw a LAPD officer doing what LAPD officers do, beating the crap out of somebody and just being a general asshole and violent towards citizens. Well, I don't know if it was a minority or not, but he reported it to his upper command, and they effectively fired him, said he was insufficient after he reported seeing somebody getting their rights violated. Dude was mentally unstable. So
but there's your first hit, LAPD, for hiring the guy in the first place.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons my father actually quit LAPD, because they have always been corrupt. And he would call for it. My dad was a cop in the late 70s, early 80s. He would call for backup. They wouldn't back him up. I mean, they were.
Was he like the only black guy on the beat and nobody would show up to help him out?
Well, there was very few. And what's interesting is my dad was in this, he worked with Stacy Coons, who was famous for Stacy Coon, who was famous for one of the cops in beating Rodney King. And those were the type of guys that he worked with. And they had no quorums about being openly, openly racist. Chief Parker, who the LAPD headquarters is named after, he is on record saying what he felt about minority police officers. He made no bones about it, and he's the one that trained the chief that came after him. His name is Daryl Gates, and Daryl Gates was the he went down because of Rodney King. No, he went down because of the riots, the Rodney King riots. But you know, this LAPD organization, back to Chris Dorner, has always been corrupt. And when he tries to do the right thing, they fired him. And so he went off the deep end. Like I said, he murdered the assistant chief's daughter and her boyfriend at a local university out here. And the craziest part about the whole Chris Dorner situation, once they investigated that murder, they know who did it. They knew who did it. And they knew it was Dorner. And then Dorner went on a rampage. When he started his rampage, LAPD was following him, and he got off a freeway before they did. And he set up he just parked his car at an angle as cover. As soon as they got off the freeway, he lit him up with an AR. And then they were out of the fight. He took off, and he just happened to pull alongside another marked police car in Riverside, California. He shot two other cops, killing one, severely wounding another. And at this time, LAPD had not told any other law enforcement agency in Southern California that this guy was on the loose and he had a vendetta against cops. And this was in the after action report. And then once the second cops were shot at, that's when they started divulging information, and then they put out APBs and whatnot. And, you know, they were looking for him for over a week. And then they found his truck in the mountains. They started scouring, and what was crazy, he was within AR-15 range of the command post in the cabin, watching them the whole time. And then he snuck out during the night, and they found him in another cabin. He shot and killed another officer, wounded another one, and then they threw in hot tear gas, and basically they think he popped himself, but basically they incinerated him.
Yeah.
And the point I want to make about that story, because I read parts of the after action report, what disturbed me the most is they said police agencies from all over Southern California self-deployed once they found his truck. Meaning there was no chain of command. There was everybody just showed up. There was hundreds, if not maybe up to 1,000 cops up there. Because I spoke to one police officer from the city where I live, and it was in Big Bear, which is probably 40-something miles, 40, 50 miles, and they said they got there in 20 minutes.
Well, that's the thing is, like, to me, that's a recipe for disaster. That's how you get fratricide. That's how you get friendly fire. You know what I mean? They're lucky that there weren't more officers killed by their, I guess,
The disorganization.
lack of organization.
Yeah, just imagine going into a conflict zone or a combat zone,
Yeah.
and everybody just shows up, and you're looking around, and you see guys you've never worked with, units you've never
Yeah.
trained, and that you're right that could have been a complete clusterfuck if let's say if there was a militia group
Yeah.
that did something like that, and then that militia group put their car in a certain area, and you're in a valley with two mountains on either side, and they set you up for a massive ambush. Wait till you get as many guys as you can get there, and just light you up. There's so many scenarios that could have went wrong in that, and that's where one of the topics I wanted to talk about tonight.
Well,
was,
hold on. A good segue, and we don't just into the police involved shootings or police involved altercations. Obviously, I guess, and this wasn't planned, but we're covering current events. There was the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office footage of an arrest of a young black man, William Anthony McNeil, and they basically bust his window open. He's got cell phone footage. He filmed it, and they punch him in the face. Now, look, and plenty of people, if you're a libertarian, have already said, hey, how you fix this? In qualified immunity. And then whenever this kid, this young man takes him to civil court, and that guy has to have his own personal insurance, like you would if you had any other job, if you were
they need to get bonded.
Exactly. And then if you got a bunch of altercations on your record and your insurance has had to step in multiple times, eventually you're high risk. It's going to be hard for you to find insurance. It's going to be hard for you to find a job if you've had a lot of these negative instances on your record. So I'm just going to leave it at that. We don't got to beat a dead horse with police involvement and that video. Marcus, I'm sure you've seen the video. Now, there's a lot that happens before the viral part of the video. And apparently the guy was driving on suspended license, and he pled guilty to that. And I think he had some marijuana on him, which we all that should be decriminalized anyways. But I think he pled guilty to misdemeanor possession also involved with all this. Now he's hired and by hired, he's probably getting the pro bono work because he knows they're going to win a civil suit against the city. And whenever that happens, the taxpayers are going to end up paying this guy's $1 million, if he wins, multi-million-dollar lawsuit. That's why you end qualified immunity, because then whenever something like this happens and the officers are found or the agency is found guilty, it would come out of their private insurance, not the taxpayers' money. That's the whole way where us as Americans, taxpayers, could quit having to bail out crappy cops when they do something stupid. All right, next question.
Wait,
just kidding.
Now I'm going to expand on that because there's two things that I wanted to say. What's up, D? How you doing? Basically, qualified immunity is not a law. It's never been codified in law. It is a legal concept created by the government to protect the government. And if you don't understand the dangers of that and you think they need to make split-second decisions. That wasn't a split-second decision that they had to make right there. It wasn't dark at night. Somebody moved their hand towards their waist or had an object in their hand or anything like that. That was not a split-second decision. They had time to rectify that situation without resorting to violence. And speaking of violence, and this one's, it's tough to say because it could be interpreted a lot of ways. But as long as government has a monopoly on violence, they have an unfair advantage against the citizens of this republic. With that being said, I'm not saying we should be fighting back, but I recall during there was this one protest back in 2020. I don't remember, but it was in New York, and there was this girl that was standing off to the side of the street, and NYPD was walking in the middle of the street. I think they were clearing people out, but she was standing on the side, and this big hulking dude pushed this girl to the ground, and she bumped her head. Her head was bleeding. She was knocked out, and he was not held responsible. And she did not present a threat to him. And that happens a lot in these protests and whatnot. When that so-called riot that they said was out here in LA, it wasn't a damn riot. It was there was damage to properties, but I don't qualify after watching the Rodney King riots and then
BLM riots.
Well, even like I didn't see a lot of super damage. Well, there was like
I don't mean the in LA. I like the Kenosha stuff. They were burning down whole towns. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know about whole towns either, but they were burning down. I do not agree with that whatsoever. And I've seen more destruction after a college basketball, NBA, hockey.
Anytime Philadelphia wins anything,
I've seen more damage in those joyful occasions,
or lose anything. Really, anytime anything happens in Philly,
than this ice stuff. Because, like I said, I forgot who we had on here, but the city of LA is 500 square miles. The area where these incidents were happening is probably a 3 to 4 block area in downtown LA. It wasn't, because they were all centered up around the federal building. And, the whole city, well, when they did the curfew was basically for that area. Everybody else was going about their business like nothing happened.
So is it like people 2 blocks over just having dinner like it's normal?
Yeah, they were sitting at their favorite restaurant sipping wine on the sidewalk, like literally blocks over from a so-called riot. But we got our first comment about the from my homegirl. Said, my friend lives in Kenosha. The whole Rittenhouse thing happened in front of her old house. She recently, that was nuts. Because Kyle is literally the same age as my son. And I would not send my son to a riot to protect somebody else. He had the right. I'm not going to dispute the fact he had the right to defend himself. He did. Yeah. But if me being a dad of a what was the 17, 18-year-old?
I think
17-year-old at the time, I want to know if he's going to In-N-Out to get a burger. I want to know where he's going to at all times, let alone send him somewhere with a firearm, and because his mother drove him there. I bought my kids body armor years before that happened, because when we go to the range, that was part of our safety kit. We have a tourniquets, body armor, bleed stop. We have all of that stuff because we believe in being prepared for the worst possible scenario. My son had every piece of equipment he needed to be somewhat protected if I was to send him into a situation like that. She did not do that. His mother did not. That was just a poor decision.
She didn't send him with anything. He picked that up from his buddy.
Yeah.
So great segue there with the In-N-Out reference. So breaking news: In-N-Out Burger moving their headquarters out of the 4th largest economy and to Tennessee, right? So let's just be honest.
Yeah.
The best business in California is moving out of California. What's up with that?
No, see, I read that today because this has been a very, very sore topic here in California as of late.
They're not moving. They're moving their headquarters. The restaurants are still going to be there. They're
actually building a new headquarters in the original city, which I kind of understand, because right now they're based in Irvine. Irvine is I think it's top 5 safest. I almost said most safe top 5 safest cities in the entire country. Very nice area, very expensive area. They're moving their headquarters back to their original birthplace, which is Baldwin Park, California, and they're keeping their national headquarters here in California, but they are setting up their East Coast headquarters in Franklin, Tennessee. So there is half truths to what you just said.
All right, let's understand that is a great strategy. So I did my senior thesis or project, not thesis because it was just undergrad bachelor's, but project on we had to pick a franchise of a company and do a whole project on how would you grow the company. It had to be a top brand in the United States, and I chose In-N-Out Burger. And my whole, because the way they do it is they can't have restaurants less than basically a day's shipment from the warehouse for their meat, right? Because it's fresh, right? So in order to expand, I just expanded all the way down I-10, all the way to Florida, and then up 95. But I didn't, my project ended once it got to Jacksonville, Florida. Obviously, I was from Jacksonville. I was like, yo, cool, we got some In-N-Out Burger. Well, it's going to take several years to get there, right? There's already some in Texas. There's a few restaurants in Texas, I think.
Right. Yes.
But they got, but when I did my project, there wasn't any in Louisiana or any further east. Now, if you're moving up to Tennessee, they're obviously going to be further north than I-10. So they're going to go I-40, I-20. Yeah, that's Franklin is basically the richest zip code, one of the most wealthy zip codes in the United States, right outside of Nashville. It's huge. A lot of wealthy people live there.
Crazy to me.
It makes sense.
Well, because the cost of housing in Franklin is pretty much on par with many suburbs here in Southern California. That's not a cheap area at all.
Yeah.
And so, because when I was in, it was 4 years ago, I was in Nashville. My son was playing against Vanderbilt, and I was looking at the real estate prices, and I was like, if you go outside of Nashville, you might as well move to California and enjoy some better weather and In-N-Out burgers, technically, because
now,
yeah,
2/3 of that or 1/3.
I want to put this out there. Whataburger is garbage.
Hey, hold on now.
I don't understand what the whole Whataburger like is. If you don't like that comment, say something, and I'll debate you.
I don't like that comment, but hear me out. I'm not saying it's better than In-N-Out Burger. I like In-N-Out, but Whataburger, I go there for one thing: the patty melt, and also the second thing, they're the only place open like 24 hours. So that's the thing about Whataburger is like you're leaving a concert, you got the crystals in the hood or Whataburger. That's it.
Whataburger.
And I don't even know if you've had crystals. It's,
I have. I remember I went to college in Alabama. So
I like crystals, but like crystals is one of those things like I like it on a road trip and I'm going to eat it like once a year. We'll get a sack full. We'll eat half of it. The rest of it's going to go bad because we feel so crappy after eating that first half. It's such a gut bomb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
crystals,
if you get it halfway through your road trip, you got to stop in 2 hours to use the bathroom. So
I was in college when I enjoyed crystals, and I never had it sober. And then my son, we took a trip to Atlanta for baseball. I was like, oh crap, there's crystals. Let's go there. It was absolutely terrible. My family was mad at me. My family was literally mad at me, and I was like, hell, all 4 of us ate for $23. I don't know what you guys are
what's the big next time y'all buy.
Yeah. But I want to or did you have any more Whataburger nonsense that you wanted to spout?
No, go there for the patty melt. That's the best thing on the menu. I think a lot of people every burger comes automatic with mustard on it, right? And I don't like that's the only condiment. I think that is automatically on it. You got to ask for the rest. I think a lot of people don't realize that, and they just get a burger with just mustard, and they're like, "What is this?"
I prefer
So,
mustard on
but
my burger
yeah,
because
but
In-N-Out
patty melt is
the
the way to
the
go.
unpublished menu at In-N-Out, one of the burgers is called animal style, and what they do is they put mustard on the burger while they're cooking it, and that adds a excellent flavor to it. And my guy Kenneth out in Oklahoma, What a Burger is a great spot to have your DD stop at 2 in the morning. What's DD?
Yep,
Drunk driving?
designated driver.
Oh, oh, okay. I was
Yeah,
like, drunk driving? Stop.
yeah.
Because, yeah,
Designated driver. Have your Dungeons and Dragons tournament
yeah.
there at 2
Well,
in the
I want
morning.
to thank Uber for probably saving me, because the
Oh yeah,
stupidity of youth is amazing. If you get a DUI in 2025 going forward, you're a dumbass
yeah.
because there's no excuse for it anymore with Uber and Lyft.
And self-driving cars. Like, come on, people.
Yeah,
Not that that's good enough, but still, it's pretty dang close.
yeah, it's stupid. And we going back to my virtual assistant lady, Marcus, will you be getting some pics with Larry Shark this weekend? Yes. This weekend is the California Libertarian Convention up in Santanella. It's about 3.5 hours from where I live. So I'm about to go through the heart of the fourth largest economy in the world, where 80% of your produce is actually produced. And that
That's
kind of
crazy.
that is crazy. And that kind of leads me into one of the topics I wanted to talk about is these ICE raids. And one of the things that struck me is their policy on these ICE raids. I'm not for open borders. I don't think anybody on this podcast is for open. I know Tubb had mentioned he's not for open borders. Eric, are you for open borders?
I'm not for open borders. No.
So don't come at us with the bullshit. We're not for open border libertarians. But there's some things that reality dictates you need to understand. Number one, Americans are not going to go in the fields and pick produce for your quinoa salad, whatever the hell you people eat. Um, and there needs to be somebody willing to do those jobs that can do those jobs without doing them in fear. And there has been a few raids on some farms here in California. But one thing that struck me is during the campaign they used that girl's name from Georgia that was murdered by that immigrant from Venezuela. Forgive me, I don't remember her name.
Yeah, it was a trending hashtag, and politicians use Riley something or another.
Riley Gaines, not Riley Gaines. That's
Yeah,
the anti-trans.
some something Riley.
Riley
I don't
Larkin.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, something Larkin.
yeah. At any rate, I would think that the
Lake
ice
and Riley.
Lake and Riley. Yes.
Okay.
I would
Yeah.
think that those communities affected by those tragic losses would want those ICE raids first. Like if that happened in your community, wouldn't you want the response to come into your community to rid your community of that threat? That would be the first place that I would suspect the government should go to do that. And
That's a
whenever I
good idea. Like they could pinpoint or highlight, the locations where there've been violent attacks. That's my thing of like that one. I don't know how many murders or violent crimes are done by illegal immigrants yearly or daily, whatever. But that's my point is like go to all the towns where there's been one that's happened in the last year and focus there. I feel like that's kind of where you're getting at.
that's exactly where I'm going because these are the people who voted for that, and they're not getting that because the resources. Yeah.
Instead, they're going to like, and the point you're getting at is like they're going to farms, they're going to Purdue chicken factories, they're going to the place similar to where I work. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
exactly. The place where people are working the jobs that none of us want to work or are willing to work or are qualified to work. Like, no offense, but those people are good at picking strawberries. I'm not. I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
terrible. I want to point out. So we mentioned that, and I can't speak for Marcus, but that we're not open borders libertarians. But what I am is increasing the number of work visas
Yeah.
administered each year. So approximately 140,000 employment-based immigrant visas are available annually in the U.S. 140,000. That's probably enough for everyone working in agricultural in the state of California. I'm just gonna throw that
That
out there.
may be
140,000.
enough. That may be enough. I'm not
That's
even
my
sure
point.
that.
And this is
Yeah,
the
I'm not.
entire United States. Like,
That's
that's
nuts.
such a low number. And then I think the number of green cards, which is permanent legal residence, is 1 million. So, and that's my point. Is like, I'm assuming if you have a green card, you're also employed here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you can be a legal resident without employment or sponsorship. You know what I mean? Like, you
Right.
might be able to be the spouse of someone that works here, for example. So,
What one of the things that's been disturbing me, because I am seeing the impact of the ICE raids here in California. We went to a mariachi buffet restaurant on Sunday to celebrate my father-in-law's birthday, and usually that place is nothing less than
lit.
80% full. Everybody having a good time. That shit
Shot,
was
shot, shot, shot,
that
shot.
shit was yeah. We were taking our own shots, but that shit might have been 20%. It may have been 20% full, if that. There was nobody there, and I was talking to the waiter, and he was saying, ICE won't come in the building per se, but they sit outside and wait for people to come there or go out of there, and they snatched up people. And I'm like, how did they know that they didn't have papers? And they're like, they didn't. They just were
Yeah.
indiscriminately going after people. And what bothers me about that is because they are seemingly targeting a certain group. And there's a group of people here in Southern California that are literally from communist China that had a few years back were getting busted for maternity extended stay motels. They were using there was a mansion here nearby that they converted into apartments. And the only reason they found out is because they did such shoddy work on the sewer system, it backed up and then basically exploded uh, crap all over the place. And then when they went to inspect it, they had found they had converted this $4 or $5 million mansion into apartments, and there was women from China, communist China, coming here 3-4 months pregnant, were staying there, giving birth to their child as an American citizen, going back to China to raise their child. And then when the child comes back, they could bring their mother, father, and the first blood family back with them. And that's been going on here for years. And there is no way that anybody can tell me all these people from China coming, all these CCP members coming over here from China are coming here legitly. There's no way you can tell me that, because that's the fastest growing population segment in the United States, including the fourth largest economy here in California. That's the fastest growing population, and it's not by birth. It is by immigration. And for the government to just completely ignore that, like, this goes back to In and Out. Irvine, where they're currently based, their national headquarters, is overwhelmingly Chinese. And I've seen memes of, that's how you get your news nowadays, is through memes. I've seen memes where they say people in Irvine watching ICE raid a swap meet in Santa Fe Springs, and they're just out enjoying their lives while these businesses are close to being shuttered because they're the American of Latino descent, they're avoiding that too. This is getting kind of nuts out here, to be honest with you.
So, and I want to point out, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with it's called like the 100-mile border law. Marcus, you familiar with that?
Yeah, yeah. They
So
could.
basically,
Yeah.
it refers to authority granted to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection that within a 100-mile radius of any external coastline or external border, including coastlines, that they can essentially detain you, conduct stops, searches, and questioning without a warrant. I'll say that goes against the Fourth Amendment, and I'm hoping that some American citizens that are detained improperly and their civil liberties are infringed take one of these cases all the way up to the Supreme Court and get it thrown out. Because essentially, I don't know, like 100 miles from any border, that's, for example, the whole state of Florida. The Customs and Border Patrol can detain you without a warrant. Now, it says that they have to have a reasonable suspicion, but that's not the same as probable cause. You know what I mean? There's a huge difference between reasonable suspicion could just be this guy looks iffy. You know what I mean? It doesn't got to be like there's actual evidence. It can just be like I got a hunch. You know what I mean?
And that's what they're using. Yeah.
Yeah, or this guy's window tints. I think it's too dark. It's like, do you know it's too dark? Have you gauged it yet? Nope. I'm gonna pull him over anyways. Oh, look, it wasn't too dark, but I already got you here. I don't need a warrant. I'm gonna detain you. I'm gonna infringe on your civil liberties. And that's my point. It's like a lot of people say, oh, well, like these people here illegally, they don't have the same constitutional rights as we do. But my point is, the moment that you detain someone that is an American citizen and you hold them, you search them without a warrant, you infringe on their, civil liberties as an American citizen. That's why this law needs to be thrown out, needs to be abolished. I'm hoping that there's some lawsuits come out of this, and that lawsuit in particular is ran up to the Supreme Court. Let's get it thrown out. Let's make it unconstitutional and have it thrown out on a Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment basis.
I will say this. And I'm going to use COVID as an example. During COVID, what started under Trump, March 2020, is when they shut down they basically shut down the whole country. People started getting upset about it. I think initially everybody was cool, but by the summertime, people were like, what the hell's going on here? And I seriously think that tanked his prospects for getting reelected, COVID, because he was cruising until March 2020. And then you bring up Dementia Joe as an alternative, and people are like, I'm sick of Trump. Let's elect this other asshole. And so they elected that asshole. And what did he do with those COVID restrictions enacted by Trump initially? He put them on steroids. He brought in mandates. He made sure that if you defied these lockdowns and these mandates, you paid a horrible price with your career, your life, and everything else, right? So we're in this situation right now where the federal government is sending armed masked men into communities without any sort of accountability whatsoever. What do you think is going to happen when the Democrats come back to power, which they're going to do eventually? I don't know if it's the next presidential term or midterm or whatever, but eventually the Democrats are coming in or going to come back into power. What's going to happen when they say, after a mass shooting or a mass casualty event or whatever, these guns are presenting an existential threat to our society and are causing untold damage to our economy and whatever. We need to make sure that every gun owner has been vetted and is truly of sound state of mind or whatever to own these firearms. And we're going to send our agents out to make sure that is the case. What are they going to do? That's what I'm concerned about, is what are the Democrats are going to do with these newfound powers that Trump and his colleagues have consolidated into the executive branch?
Sorry, I was reading something about that thing. Pose your question again. Go ahead.
What do you think the Democrats are going to do when they come back into power now that Trump has consolidated more executive power into his branch of government and
I think
basically, yeah, go ahead.
they're gonna abuse the power. That's what happens. That's the problem with whenever your team gets in power, and instead of reining in the government, you give them more powers. Whenever your team loses the football, guess what? It's gonna be ran down your throat next. My thing is like what's the didn't Trump or the Supreme Court rule about a certain level of immunity for presidents, right? Like that happened
Yeah,
in between Trump being elected and
yeah, it
inauguration
was under
day
Joe Biden,
or
and it
something like
wasn't.
that. It might have even happened before he won. But that's my
He
whole
did,
point. Like people
yeah,
are trying to like, oh, let's prosecute Obama. Is like the irony of this is Trump
yeah,
if they thought they knew what Tulsi Gabbard exposed, which I don't get me wrong, I think there were some legitimate abuses of power there. But if they thought they had an idea that happened, and I bet they knew they had something beforehand, why do you think it was used and all of MAGA was celebrating like Trump was going to get immunity for whatever his past crimes? No, all of them are now going to get blanket immunity.
yeah. As
And
long
that's
as
the
they
point.
can't
Is like
say exactly.
you're gonna like fire up, light your torches, and go rally and say like let's put a Obama in prison. It's like, oh wait, Trump's Supreme Court just ruled about limited immunity essentially. So Obama's probably be able to get away with a lot of that, and there, yeah, doubt. And if he is perp walk, it's all to a
It's all
facade.
show.
I
I
I,
it
I do
yeah.
like that, and I saw that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are being subpoenaed for the Epstein stuff. Like, and I get it. That's just political theater. Just to be like, we think these guys are involved, but I don't like them also, and I would like to see them drug in front of the Congress to be asked questions. All they're going to do is plead the fifth and not answer anything, or both of them attorneys, Hillary and Bill Clinton. They're both attorneys.
I believe so.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure like they'll be able
I know
to
Hillary
walk
for sure.
themselves out of this
Yeah.
without anything being stuck to them at all. If they even show up.
If the Clintons were not as good as they are at this BS, they would have already been out of here. The Clintons are the class. They are the apex of slime ball getting away with shit.
Yeah.
Because I remember when in my hip hop days, I even mentioned Whitewater in one of the songs that I had wrote. I said, turns red like white water upon bloodshed, something to that effect, because that's when the main guy of the Whitewater scandal just mysteriously committed suicide, and that's where this was like in the mid '90s. Eric, you weren't around for that, so
I was around. I just wasn't
you weren't paying attention. Yeah,
old.
just like that Liberty lady said, it's just a distraction plus the 5-week recess to let everyone forget about the e-files. I like calling that the e-files. Massey standing strong, and yes, I stand grandly with Massey. I think Eric and I both can say we stand grandly with Massey. He's one of the
Yep.
I think he's probably and effectively the most liberty-minded politician out of what is it 535.
Yeah, I think it's 535.
There's only one dude in the entire elected body of our elected government system that actually stands for liberty and doing the right thing in the face of no matter what, and that's Thomas Massey. And what disgusts me is when you do that, you put a target on your back.
Oh yeah,
because this government has grown into such a monstrosity that saying the right thing in the scope of liberty makes you an enemy of the state. And that's where you have to ask yourself, because I think a lot of Republicans have come upon a reckoning with the e-files, and they have to look themselves in the mirror and say, I still support this guy. It came out this week that he was told he's in those files. Nobody said has exposed to what context he's in his files. There was a video of Epstein that I've seen this week where they're asking him, is Trump a personal friend of his? And he asked what's personal, and he said yes. And has he ever partied with underage girls with Trump? And he pled the fifth.
Yep.
That's a yes or no answer in my book. In my world, that's a yes or no answer. Because my answer would be hell no. I don't do any shit like that. But if you plead the fifth to a question like that, that's a smoking gun to me. The stuff with Obama or whatever, you're right. It's pretty stupid for them to say, we're going to refer criminal charges against Obama. And I don't think it's going to get off the ground. And it's showboating, distraction. Bring up this guy, his base hates Obama,
the target off my back. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so, that's my thing is I'm perfectly fine with here's an idea. Expose the files and see if Obama's in there. If Obama's not, see if the Clintons are in there, or Biden, or any of the Biden. You know what I mean? You can make plenty of connections by just releasing the files. And then, like there might be some GOP guys that some of y'all might like Mike Gaetz might be in there. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know any other ones. But I doubt any of the I doubt Massey's in there. He's the one trying to release the files. I doubt Rand Paul's in there. I doubt Justin Amash is in there. You know what I mean? I'm just saying those guys are strong men of character. So
I want to tell this to America. What they're doing right now, they're saying Obama was stupid enough to have some files left over where they're saying they were trying to undercut in a treasonous fashion Trump's election win to become president. But they were dumb enough to leave those there, but they were smart enough to create Epstein files to implicate Trump and not release him. That's what they're saying right now on the MAGA side. And I'm like, this week Trump lost the QAnon shaman dude from Arizona, the dude with the horns from January 6th. And he's losing MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, which is nuts to me because she's the Jewish space laser lady, and now she's talking about what's going on in Gaza, and she's saying the e-files are a deal breaker with her. And I'm like, damn, we're 7 months into this administration. We have a solid 2.5 years to go because effectively the last year you're a lame. Nobody gives a shit about you. You're just there in the background while everybody else is running for president that year. And so we have a solid 2.5 years. I'm like, what's going to happen here? I'm kind of nervous about this. And I've been looking at jobs. I don't know if I should move right now. Come
on, brother.
No, I'm talking about move jobs. I do want to move out of California. I want to move out of California, but I'm waiting to see to where In-N-Out expands to. If they expand to North Carolina.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll call them up right now and be like, yo, put your next one right. So that's the thing is they got to build their warehouses and everything first. That's the thing is they build build a warehouse, they get a hub, and they start opening up around their warehouses. It's smart, obviously, because you got to have the fresh ingredients. So
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A does the same thing.
But the lettuce and tomato,
Yeah, you got to get it from somewhere. I mean,
California, no,
there's
there's only one place the United States gets lettuce.
North Carolina grows lettuce and tomato. Like I'm telling, like
Where
where I'm at, the Piedmont Triad is a huge agricultural hub.
because it's down
see.
where I go dove hunting. That's the number one lettuce producing region in the United States.
Well, just because it's the number one doesn't mean it's the only
I
one.
know it doesn't mean the only one, but
Look,
it's year round.
lettuce
So
is grown in North Carolina.
But
Sure.
what I'm saying is,
so.
it's where it's grown here. It's year round because it's basically desert, irrigated desert that's sunny, 350 days a year. So it's crazy.
Here it could be grown. So it's basically a spring and a fall vegetable here, but here it can be grown in the summer in the mountains in higher elevation. So we got mountains. Yeah. I'm saying,
well, I know you got mountains.
You got to grow up between 60 and 65 degrees or whatever. That's what thriving in those temperatures. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, but you know what I mean? I'm just saying North Carolina's where is the place to be.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, get out. Now we're gonna get to that Liberty Ladies question. I had this up before. I brought it back. It was brought up during Larry Sharp. Could the e-files be an October surprise during the next election? Well, when the midterms are next year.
Some of them are next year.
There's a few this year.
Years.
Because
there might be some special elections. I don't know. It's 2025. It's every other even year, right? Or I mean, it's every 2 years on the even years. So
yeah, because I think there's Senate races. There's some ones going on this year.
Mostly local going on this year, I guess. I don't know. But
yeah, so she's saying the midterms is what she meant.
Speaking of local, Marcus, you gonna have some conversations with some people this weekend? What's up?
That's the plan. You know,
all right. We don't got to talk too much more about it live. I want to show our cards.
Yeah, but I ran into the opposition at the grocery store. Ran by her recently. I sent him a picture and said, "Hey, this is the person," and it was pretty funny. But I wish you guys could all be a part of our group chat because it's very interesting. And oh damn, we're almost at an hour.
Yeah.
So I just want to bring up one more thing about ICE. I would not wish armed federal people that have gear that me and all my friends have. They're hopping out in casual jeans and t-shirts with armor and everything. All my friends have Safari Land, drop holsters and all that stuff. I would not wish that upon any American. And the reason being is to what I alluded to earlier, that the pendulum of stupidity, like I like to call it, where people say, I'm sick of Republicans, that 30-something% of Americans say, I'm sick of Republicans, I'm going to vote for a Democrat. And then they're like, I'm sick of Democrat, I'm going to vote for a Republican. You're setting all of us, we're all in the same line. You're setting all of us up for some bullshit. And we the people, you know, there's a lot of guys out there. The Secretary of Defense have "We the People" tattooed on their forearms. I have "Live Free or Die" tattooed on my forearm because I believe in that. But when you talk about "We the People," you can't have these people over here, or we the Republicans, or we the Democrats. There cannot be any protected classes in a republic. And that goes to qualified immunity too. You can't have people that aren't subject to the laws of a republic. And the fact that we're not looking at our fellow Americans as fellow Americans, we're looking at them like, oh, he's a liberal, he's a conservative. That's how this nation falls. That's how this nation crumbles and implodes upon itself, because we can't look at somebody else's rights as our own rights, because the moment that you only want to protect your rights and let these other people fall by the wayside, you have doomed yourself. And so that's all I got to say for the rest of the night.
I just
Eric?
want to ask you one question.
Okay.
How difficult was it while you were in the grocery store, you saw your opponent, to not do the old Tanya Harding on her? You know what I mean? Just take her out right there.
Well, I looked at her hip. I didn't see a bulge because she's a former police officer.
Oh, she's trying to see if she's got that CCW on her.
Yeah. Well, I just looked. I don't think well at the right side.
All right, that's enough. All right. Yeah, anyways, don't need them clipping this and using it in your oppo. You know what I mean? They probably watching you. That's what I'm saying.
Say this about my potential run. Number one, I will repeal the 4th of July tax. Number two, I will repeal the 1% tax that they just enacted last year. Number three, I will make our local PD issue CCWs. And number four, I will repeal the. So what they did recently is they had this new street sweeping ordinance where odd number houses, say if you're like 319 Jefferson Avenue, odd numbers, you're on the first Thursday. Even numbers, you're on the third Thursday. So what they're doing now is they're sending street sweepers on those Thursdays, followed by parking enforcement. So if you're parked on the street between 9 and 4 while they're doing street sweeping, they're writing you tickets.
Here's an idea. Why don't you make it just one Thursday and do both sides of the street on the same day? And
you can do that. But
that's my point, is that would make it less complicating. And then also, don't fine people until they've done it multiple. Like if you do it 3 Thursdays in a row, you don't move your car, then get a warning. Like don't just start giving people tickets because they forget to move their car. It's a bunch of Billy Jack bull crap because they want to be dumb. Anyways, all right, we're over an hour.
Yeah, just real quick. We don't have a bunch of fallen leaves out here. We don't have those type of trees that we're out here. And if there's trash in front of your house, it should be your dumbass should be going out there and picking it up. You don't need the government coming out there and picking up trash in front of your house, ruining your own property values. The only streets that should be sweeping are the public streets that don't have people who own houses, or it's just public streets where there's stores or whatever. And nobody parks there. So that's the streets they should be sweeping. They shouldn't be coming in front of your house, giving you a ticket for your car being there, and there's not one iota of trash or litter in front of your house. Because like I said, if there is, that's your responsibility. Okay, so that's it. Yeah.
That's a good
you got me hyped up.
That's the platform. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. We got your 5 pillars. All right, brother.
We'll see all of you guys back here next week on the Black Powder Podcast. Thank you for listening, watching, whatever you're doing, to the only real libertarian podcast. I'm Marcus Matthews. That's Eric Parker. As we always say when we get out of here,